Hello students, welcome to today's session. Our today's session it is related to class 8. Subject is science. We are doing fourth chapter of our NCERT book, that is metals and non-metals. So here we start. Our chapter is metals and non-metals. In previous video we have studied about the properties of metals and non-metals, and we also studied about reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen. So now we will study about the reaction of metal and non-metal with water. So for metals, one example is given to us here, that sodium, it is very reactive. It is very reactive with oxygen as well as water, and a lot of heat generate when it reacts. So it is always kept in a kerosene. One activity is given to us, a demonstration by a teacher only, because special care to be taken here. So what we have to do, we have to take a beaker, glass tumbler, and we have to fill it with water. So now we have to take a small piece of sodium. We have to dry it in the cotton only, and then we have to put it in the beaker. So what we observe when we put sodium in the beaker full of water, what we observe that it generates heat. Okay, it generates heat. It bursts in the water. So the metals that react in the water, for example sodium, so it is kept in the kerosene. But few of the metals like iron, it reacts with slowly with water. Okay. And when we talk about the non-metals, so non-metals generally they do not react with water. Okay, they are reactive with the air. So the phosphorus, the known non-metal, it is very reactive, and it is always kept in the water so that we can prevent it from explosion. Now, reaction with acids, reactions of metals and non-metals with acids. So when we discuss that how the metals and non-metals react with acids. So when metals react with acid, it releases hydrogen gas. Okay, it releases hydrogen gas with pop sound. The presence of hydrogen gas, how can we confirm it? When we bring a burning matchstick or candle near the gas. Okay, when we bring a burning matchstick or candle near the gas, so what we observe that the matchstick or candle, it produce pop sound. Okay, so when it produces pop sound, what it means? It means that hydrogen gas has evolved. So we have also find there that the copper, okay, when we talk about the copper, it does not react with hydrochloric acid. Okay, but when we use sulfuric acid, then it reacts with it. And regarding the non-metals do not react with water. Acids, sorry. Non-metals do not react with acids. Now, here our next topic, that is reaction with bases. So, for the metals, okay, for the metals, reaction of metal with bases, it releases hydrogen gas. When metal react with bases, it releases hydrogen gas. But many of the metals like sodium hydroxide, many of the metals, when they react with sodium hydroxide to produce hydrogen gas. But when we talk about the non-metals, then the reaction of non-metals with bases are very complex. Okay, generally they do not react. So these are the reaction with the acid, bases and water. Okay, and in detail regarding all these, we will study in higher classes. Okay, now one more topic is there, that is displacement reaction. Okay, displacement reaction means some metal which it is replaced by some another metal. Okay, so for this one activity is given to us, that we have to take beakers, 5 beakers, and label them as A, B, C, D, E, and we have to put the different things in each of the beaker. For example, in first, that copper sulfate and zinc, then copper sulfate and iron, then zinc sulfate and copper, then iron sulfate and copper, then zinc sulfate and iron. Okay, and we have to observe what we are getting. So what we get, what displacement reaction is? During the reaction, what happens if a metal replaced by the another metal? Okay, if a metal it replaced by another, for example in that beaker A, if copper replaced by zinc, what it means? From its compound, then such reaction are called displacement reaction. Okay, if this copper is replaced by this zinc, then this reaction will be called as displacement reaction. So metals can be arranged as per their reactivity order. Okay, reactivity order is there. Whatever the more reactive metal, it will displace the less reactive metal. Always the more reactive metal, it will displace the less reactive metal from its compound. But a less reactive metal, if another one is less reactive, it cannot replace a more reactive. Okay, if this one is less reactive than zinc, then it cannot replace it. Okay, so we see how this reaction will happen. Now see, this is the sequence of less reactive and this one is the more reactive. Okay, now see what the changes we are seeing here. What the changes we observe. You have read that one metal displaced another metal from its compound. Okay, for example, in Dickery, zinc replaced copper. Okay, from copper sulfate. Okay, what zinc is doing? Zinc is replacing copper. Zinc is replacing copper. Okay, and see here. That is why blue color of copper sulfate disappears and powdery red mark of copper is deposited at the bottom of the beaker. So this one is the reaction for it. Okay, there could have been displacement of zinc by copper in beaker C also, by iron in beaker E. Similarly, iron could be replaced by copper in beaker D. But we do not see any change in beaker C. Okay, so what we concluded that copper cannot replace the zinc from zinc sulfate. Why? Zinc can replace copper, but why copper cannot replace zinc? Because there are definite rules. Okay, but the rules are there that zinc is more reactive than copper and iron. Zinc is more reactive than copper and iron. So a more reactive metal can replace a less reactive metal. That's why, that is the reason. Okay, that zinc replace the copper, but copper cannot replace the zinc. Okay, now the next topic, it is the uses and uses of metals and non-metals. So there are different uses in making machinery, automobiles, aeroplanes, trains. Of various uses are there of metals and non-metals. So I have concluded it here. Just see, have a look. Metals are generally used in making of machines, automobiles, airplanes, cars, satellite, etc. And we can also use metals in making the wires like copper. Then metals, they are also using for the making ornaments like gold, silver, and for non-metals. So non-metals, oxygen, it is a non-metal and it is necessary for all living beings. And some non-metals, they are also used as a fertilizer to enhance the growth of the plant. Okay, then non-metals, we also use them for water purification. We are also using them as antiseptic. Okay, we are also using in crackers also. So there are many uses are there. In our surrounding, there are many uses of metals and non-metals. Now, one more topic is given to us, that in the previous classes we have studied about the chemical reaction. Okay, different chemical reactions are there. A substance, it cannot be broken by further chemical reaction, cooling, heating, or by any of the process, electrolysis process. So it is called as element. This we have studied. Okay, for example, sulfur, it is an element, iron, carbon, so all are element. And what is the smallest unit for that element? It is atom. The smallest unit is atom. So a sample of an element, it contains one kind of atom. For example, in sulfur, all the atoms are of similar kind. In iron, all the atoms are of similar kind. So the atom of an element remains unaffected by physical change. If there is any physical change, then there is no change in on the whatever you say that if there is physical change, there is no change in the atom of an element. It remains same. It remains unaffected by the physical change. Okay, for example, atom of liquid sulfur will exactly same as atom of solid and vapor sulfur. There is no change. Okay, so there are different type of substances in the universe. Number of element found forming this substance, it is limited. There are approx 92 naturally occurring elements, and we have classified them as metals, non-metals, metalloids. So in higher classes we will study about all of them. Okay, a simple I have bring a comparison here that metals. What metals are? The metals which exhibit the highest degree of metallic behavior, they are known as metals. And which do not possess any metallic behavior, they are non-metals. And metalloids, it is a new term. Such elements which possess few of the properties of metal and few like non-metals, they are called as metalloids. And these are the examples for metal, non-metals and metalloids. Okay, so this is all regarding your chapter. Just go through the chapter and prepare well for your exam. Thank you.